Though for a man in his 40s, he is in superb condition. The other, Lieutenant Polyushin, is another story. He is tall, broad slab of combat muscle. His black hair cut short as a scrub brush, thick and functional as state sculpture. His features cannot fill his broad, flat face. Both wear the khaki field dress and black beret of the Naval Spetsnaz Brigada, the Special Operations Brigada. At Polyushin's feet, Rambo finds himself looking up at the Soviet number opposite, the black beret. Podolsky, in Russian, says, "Put him in the chair." Polyushin hauls Rambo onto a wooden stool against the wall. Podolsky sits next to him on a small metal desk. It is almost dark, and the only light is from a single bare bulb. Podolsky says in Vietnam to Vin, "Thank you, Captain Vin. Leave one guard, please." Vin exits with Tay and the other three Viets. Podolsky adjusts his wire-rimmed glasses and considers Rambo. He turns Rambo's bloody face gently, examining the injuries. Says to Rambo, "These people are so vulgar in their approach. I am Lieutenant Commander Podolsky. I don't know who you are, but you will tell me." Podolsky's English is lightly accented, but clear and articulate. He has a nasal condition. However, Rambo doesn't answer. Maybe that's why Victor Maitland gave him the nasal condition. And I have to wonder here, because Dolph Lundgren was supposed to play Podolsky, but does that mean that maybe they would have considered Dolph for Polyushin also and brought Victor Maitland in, Mr. Steven Berkoff? I don't know. Here we go. Podolsky, continuing, says, "No, not even your name. Silence. This is poor beginning for an intimate relationship. By tomorrow or the next day, you will tell me things you would not tell a lover." Podolsky notices the long, crisscross scars on Rambo's chest and back. Continues to Rambo, "I see you are no stranger to pain. Then of course you may know how senseless it is to resist in the long run. It is possible you have been among my Vietnamese comrades before." Podolsky catches something as Rambo breaks his gaze, looking away. Continues saying to Rambo, "Yes, I think you must be it. That must be it. Where were you held? Hanoi? Sante? I apologize. I'm getting ahead. Sometimes I get too eager. My comrade and I, in our capacity as advisors, have been sent from center of Cam Ranh Bay to discover from you certain things. For example, whether you are working directly for the American government, who your contacts were, and on and on. Quite a list. Will you tell me these things now?" Rambo gazes at a point in space. Podolsky continues, "Of course you won't. But as a mortal man, I felt compelled to ask." As a mortal man, sorry. He stands with a shrug and faintly gestures to his massive assistant. "This is Lieutenant Polyushin. To him, you are a piece of meat." In Russian to Polyushin. "Proceed." Low angle as Polyushin walks forward. Exterior camp, main gate, night. The guard in the sentry box glances up from a newspaper at the sound of an approaching motorbike. A young woman wearing an Audi and coolie hat rides up on a Honda scooter and stops by the shack. Over the girl's shoulder. Camera is now over the shoulder. As she steps up to the guard box and coos something in the sentry, he grins to see a new face among the whores from the village, and one so pretty. Great luck. Reverse on the girl camera shot, revealing that she is Co. As she dickers Price through the sentry box window, he unlatches the gate. Interrogation room. Interior. An iron bed frame has been brought in and leaned vertically against the wall opposite the door. Rambo has been tied to the frame, spread eagle by lengths of coat hanger wire around his ankles, neck, and forearms at the elbows. Polyushin is setting up a box-like piece of equipment on a small desk. There are wires running from the bed's frame, and from a metal plate about the size of a paperback book taped to Rambo's belly. Polyushin clamps the other ends of the cables to terminal posts on the box, which has a large rheostat knob and several switches and dials. Podolsky says, I was sent here because of my command of your language. It will be frustrating if we cannot have a nice chat. Very frustrating. Speaks Russian to Polyushin. Ready? Polyushin nods and douses Rambo with a bucket of water. Podolsky in Russian. Test, please. Polyushin, without ceremony, twists the knob. Rambo convulses with an explosive muscle contraction. Slams against the springs. His veins swell as if to burst. Exterior camp courtyard. The lights of the camp dim, flickering under the current load. Interior interrogation room. Rambo slams convulsively against the electronic grid formed by the steel bed. His teeth are clenched as if he has tetanus. Interior prisoners' barracks. The lights come up to normal brightness. DeFabio closes his eyes, sharing a ghost of the pain. Interior interrogation room. Rambo hangs from his bonds, heaving and shivering. Podolsky turns to him conversationally, as if he were an acquaintance at work rather than a man being tortured. Says to Rambo, "Oh yes, here is something you might be interested in." He draws a folded piece of paper from his pocket, opens it, and continues. A transcript of the conversation between your helicopter pilot and his commander, intercepted and unscrambled by our overworked cryptography staff, reading, Zen Hammer, Slam Dunk, colorful names. Here we are, Coach 1. We have them in sight, and the reply, abort immediately, return to base camp. He graciously shows Rambo the printout. It seems they intentionally abandon you on direct orders. These are the people you protect with your silence and with your pain. He snaps his fingers, and Polyushin cranks the knob. The lights dim. Rambo fights the scream unleashed within him with every fiber of his being, straining like a demon, every muscle sharply defined and rock hard. Podolsky continues, almost kindly. But you must scream. You must. There is no shame. It bursts out, a roar that frays his vocal cords. Exterior camp courtyard. Co-moving stealthily in the shadow of a wall. Pauses at the sound of the scream, notes its direction. Interior isolation cell. In the darkness, Brewer rages against the inhuman screaming, pounding the wall, saying, "Bastards!" Interior interrogation cell. Rambo hangs so limply that he might be dead. Podolsky moves in to check as Rambo's head begins to rise. Tight on Rambo, as he looks up, his eyes seem like diamond drills. There is determination born of rage in his expression that Podolsky stops, takes a step back, snaps his fingers. Rambo convulses and begins to scream. Podolsky nods to his assistant. Insert Polyushin's hand. Cuts off the current, but the scream continues, gets louder. Back to scene. The lieutenant looks up, puzzled. Rambo is going berserk. His body is out of control. Machine, lashing and tearing at the frame. The scream breaks and becomes a ferocious howl. The Viet guard steps forward, alarming and unnerved. His rifle is raised, warding off evil. That's amazing. Rambo's freaking everybody out. Podolsky motions him back and steps closer himself. The bed frame begins to twist, creaking and warping under Rambo's frenzied assault. Tight cuts, rapid succession. A weld spring pops. Podolsky takes a reflective step forward. Rambo's hand shoots out, free suddenly, like a grappling hook. Polyushin hits the current. Rambo jerks Podolsky's head Rambo jerks Podolsky into a headlock, a death embrace. Podolsky screams, convulses. Podolsky to Polyushin. Niet, in Russian. The Russian lashes out, convulsing in the current. The lieutenant cuts the power. Rambo snatches Podolsky's Markov pistol from his holder, aims it at his temple before Polyushin can reach for his okay, let me start that over. Rambo snatches Podolsky's Makarov pistol from its holder, aims it at his temple before Polyushin can reach for his. The black beret eases his hand away from the holster. On the guard, frozen, a figure slips through the door behind them. Ko cuts his throat in one motion with a bush knife. She covers Polyushin with the guard's AK-47 as she circles to Rambo, who is still enmeshed in metal wreckage. Rambo smashes the Makarov into Podolsky's temple twice, then holds Polyushin transfixed by his pistol sights as Ko works quickly at the bonds. There are superficial cuts on his forearms, ankles, and neck from the wire. Rambo screams hideously and with cold premonition to mask the sound of her work. The effect is bizarre, surreal, maniacal. So I guess pieces of the coat hanger are embedded in his skin. I guess they kind of like cauterized together into his arms and stuff. Anyway, Ko whispering, "We get out, split up. They not want me." Rambo steps from the wreckage and advances on the bulking black beret, pistol ready. Again he screams, almost a war cry now, and smashes his fist into the Russian's face with the force of his entire body behind it. The big man's head ricochets off the wall into a second piledriver punch. Polyushin goes down. Podolsky groans and stirs until Rambo twists the knob. Despite a bad connection, Podolsky jerks spasmodically under the collapsed metal frame lying in a puddle of water. Before Ko can use the knife on Polyushin, Captain Vin enters, his expression agape. He turns and bolts. Interior corridor. Vin dashes out, shouting maniacally. Behind him, Rambo hurtles through the door, a blur, and smashes Vin against the concrete wall. Vaulting over the compound, crumpled camp commander without slowing, Rambo hits the outside door at a full run just as Sergeant Tay is opening it from outside. Exterior courtyard. Tay's AK flies from his hand as he tumbles back. Rambo spins into him with a flying roundhouse kick, which pitches him onto his back in an inert heap. Interior interrogation room. The transformer box shorts out under the continuous load, frying with a bright flash. The lights of the camp go out completely.